everyone, welcome to Conversations with Miss T, and that is me. I had a conversation with Mbalenhle Shabangu. Mbalenhle and I met through our beloved mutual friend, whose name I will not mention right now. Mbalenhle is a content curator, a co-founder of Taro Hair Product, and an amateur historian. She said to call her an amateur historian. Okay, not my words, her words. Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope that you enjoy this.
We're talking about 30s.
Oh yeah. So I was just saying that I look for any reason to celebrate, and turning 30 seems like a pretty good excuse to me.
It's a
So
milestone.
yeah, yeah. Um, so what do you do?
Ooh, okay. So by profession, I'm a plant administrator. But I also do public relations on the side and digital marketing.
Okay, okay. What does digital marketing encompass?
It's basically public relations, marketing and communication, but then in a digital space. So
Okay,
bringing a product or a brand to the end user, but then in a digital area. So basically, it's using more of your social media as well as website. So content curation as well is
yeah,
part of it.
okay. All right. So you see, I'm a teacher. My job description is pretty straightforward. Everybody knows what that is. And so then I meet people like you, and I'm like, whoa, what is that? That's why I have to ask, what the job entails so that it gives me a better understanding. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now in all girls school, how was that like? Did you miss guys? I've always had, yeah, actually, I'm glad that you're here because I have questions. You guys miss boys in an all girls school?
Some girls do,
Mm-hmm.
but with me, I didn't. I'm always surrounded by boys. So going to school, it was sort of like my way, a getaway tickets, basically. It was nice. I really enjoyed being around girls because that was the only time I was around girls, apart from being with my mom.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you're around boys who are what? Your siblings, your friends?
My brother, I have an older brother, so his friends were always at my house, and I always used to play with boys. So I grew up as a tomboy, because even currently, I understand boys more than ladies.
Okay. Okay, cool. And as well, does that this is gonna sound very ignorant, but I need to know, does
No problem.
being a tomboy make you more of a lesbian as well? Do you
No,
is okay, okay. So you're just a straight girl who does not dress girly.
who doesn't behave girly? If you
Okay,
compare
okay,
that.
okay. Yeah. Okay, cool. I
Uh-huh.
get it. And is that a little bit liberating for you that the certain things that you feel you can get away with that like a regular girly girl does not get away with?
Um, for me, I would actually, the thing is with me, I was never really boxed.
Okay.
So in my family, I grew up in a genderless family.
Yeah.
So there wasn't a certain rule, unless I have to go to my paternal grandmother's place. Then that's where I struggle a bit, where I don't understand why I have to do certain things because I'm a girl, and why boys aren't supposed to do certain things because they are males. So I
Yeah.
never really understood that. Whereas with my parents, they raised us that, irrespective of whether you're a boy or a girl, a certain chore, if it has to be done, it has to be done.
Yeah.
Um, and irrespective of who you are, do not let society dictate to you who you're supposed to be and what you're supposed to act like.
Right, right. Okay. And then do you then struggle with heterosexual relationships?
No.
Okay. So your boyfriends, your partners are okay with the way that you
Yes, they
are.
are.
Okay.
Well, my exes had problems, but but hey, I mean,
Yeah.
I
What
think I
what
think
what
in any
was
relationship. Mhm.
what was their problems, particularly with your personality? If you don't mind talking about it.
No,
Sorry, I'm
it's
not.
fine.
Yeah.
With my personality, I'm an alpha female.
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think also with me being a bubbly person and being free, so I welcome everyone as they are. And one person actually once said that I'm too understanding.
Mm.
So those are only issues that I had where I love interacting with everybody, irrespective of your sexuality or your gender as well. So I just genuinely like to learn more about someone else's world,
Yeah,
because that way it opens my mind to other things and another world or ideologies that I am unaware of.
yeah.
So I feel that having an open mind to how other people think, it also empowers me as well.
Mm.
Mm,
Yeah, because there's nothing is worse than ignorance, I think, you know.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, I understand. I'm sorry I got too personal too quick.
no problem.
Woman, it tells me you know a little bit about your history. You see, I'm very interested because I don't know much about our history. I just know the little bit that my dad told me, and that was enough for me. But now I'm interested in learning, you know, hopefully from you.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think reading about it on the internet and actually having somebody converse with you is different. I think it sticks better when you're talking to a person, you know, as opposed to reading it online. When you read it online, it's just like information. But when you hear it from a person, you know, there's like it brings with it a level of understanding and acceptance and openness. Does that make sense?
It does. It
Yeah.
does.
Okay. So before you dive into that, like what triggered the interest to search for knowledge?
Um, Basically two people
Uh-huh.
and a church. So my best friend for the longest of time was my maternal grandmother.
Hmm.
So with her, what would happen is every weekend I would always go and have sleepovers at my grandmother's. And in between us taking naps during the day and baking and whatnot, she would always tell me stories about her family. Because when I was born, so now between my grandmother and I, there was a 60, I think it was 62 years age gap.
Oh.
So by that time, most of her family members had, actually all her family members had transitioned. So she was the only living member of her family. It was her and her cousin. Now, with that, she would always tell me stories about how she used to respect her mom, her relationship between her parents and her grandparents as well, and having to sit down with her and seeing the glow in her face and the joy in her voice as well when she would recite those stories, it really triggered that whole thing of me wanting to learn more about them, because right now I feel like I know them. If I were to perhaps have, okay, I dream a lot. It's not a spiritual thing, but
I get
I
it. I get
really,
it.
I just so happen, yeah, I just so happen to remember my dreams. So sometimes I feel like um, I would get like personal revelations, and these people, I know them because my grandmother had described them and had told me about them. So also with my paternal grandfather, because when I was born, my maternal grandfather had passed on as well. And so with my paternal grandfather, what he used to do is, ever since, if any of his grandchildren, when you start talking already, he would teach us the clan names. So whenever he would wake up earlier than all of us. And so the kitchen at my grandfather's place is the central of the entire house, right? So what would happen is he would wait for us. He would camp in the kitchen so that when any of his grandchildren wakes up, he would always say to us, Togoza, meaning give thanks to your ancestors. So he taught us how to say our clan names, what our clan name is. So we'd always say, whenever we greet him, it would be Shabangu, Makalela, Wenawangendong. So we'd have to recite that. Um, Apart from us greeting him, but it's also our way of saying thank you to our ancestors for protecting us throughout the night. And we also ask so that they can protect us throughout the day as well.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, the church that I go to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, also known as the Mormon Church. From primary, we are taught to learn more about our family history. So we sit down with our parents, our grandparents, and we basically draft a family tree. So with that family tree, it goes back to what I was saying with my grandparents, with my grandmother, I mean, where when you now come down with the names, when they tell you who was okay, so basically whose child this person is, and you're trying to put everything together, it feels like you know them already, even though they're in the spiritual world. But it feels like your ancestors are accompanying you everywhere. But
Yeah,
then it
yeah,
just gives me so much joy to know that even in this world where I'm surrounded by so many people, yet you will always feel alone. But you know that your ancestors are there. You know that Jesus Christ is there as well. You never walk alone.
yeah.
Um, one
Sorry,
thing that I,
that that just got me emotional because that is the very thing that I said to a friend of mine a couple of days ago. We were talking and they were saying, "Oh, I feel emotional, I feel alone, and I feel lonely." Your exact words is exactly what I said to him. I said, "You are never really alone." Like you said, because I'm also like a Christian, so I believe that God is omnipresent, so He's always with us. And
Mhm,
also, I just think that we are part of something bigger. Like every single essence of the people that existed before us, I think that is within us, and we will carry that to the next generation. So I got teary because
mhm,
those were my exact words. And I think at some point it really has very little to do with religion, and also just like it's fact, like every DNA of my grandparents, was just passed on to me. Biologically, also, it's just a
mhm.
fact. Okay, carry on. Uh-huh.
Um, True. And another thing as well, my mother's family. It was so interesting, and for me, it felt so special because when we study South African history, when we go back to Ushaka, we learn of Umziligas. So my mom is basically Umziligas.
What is
Um,
what is
phew,
that? What is umziligas?
Umziligas was Shaga's warrior, main
Okay,
warrior.
okay,
So
okay.
he's the one that ran away from Ushaga when he saw that Shaga was actually getting out of hand. And from the bit that I know from the history that we studied in primary, Ushaga left because, I mean, Umziligazi left. He ran away because Shaga wanted him to kill the Sutus and the Bedis and all these females from different cultures or clans. So he basically took them and he ran away.
Okay.
And so he started the Ndebele Nation. So when you get to Zimbabwe, Bulawayo, there's a place called the Matebele land, which is Gamziligas. So with that, it made me feel special because one of my ancestors, my great 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 grandfathers, actually started this. But also digging into the history as well, because I always used to wonder why is it that my grandmother is from Lesotho, yet my grandfather is from Botswana, and yet we saying that we are Mandebele, even though my grandmother was Sotho, like proper Sotho. But my grandfather is from Botswana, yet he's in Ndebele. What happened? So with that, I had to dig and understand that he's from Zimbabwe, but actually his father is from Zimbabwe. But because he wanted to marry a Tswana lady, he was then shunned out from the Matebele land because he actually had to marry a Ndebele person so that he can continue with the royalty as well. So because he wanted to marry a commoner, he decided to leave Zimbabwe and the Madiba land, and he went to reside in Botswana, where my grandfather and his family were born.
Mhm. Wow. You see, I didn't even want you to stop. That's a beautiful story. Continue.
All right, if you think that was a beautiful story, then so basically my grandparents met in Joburg. My grandfather was studying his law degree, and my grandmother was studying nursing. I think was she studying nursing or she was doing her practicals somewhere there. And so they met here. Interesting thing is how they named their children.
Okay, tell me about
So
that.
they had 6 kids. One sadly passed away when he was 1. And so their names, they actually tell a story. So
Okay.
which are Ndaba senza Ndaba senza amakhosazana athandekile bheka emuva iy'ntombi zandile. So basically, loosely translated is here's the story. We actually building a family of beautiful and lovely women, actually daughters. Look behind you, the number of girls has increased. So,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. That is so beautiful. I love that. And I envy you right now because I think I wasn't very close with my grandparents and maybe I didn't give them time. Maybe I was just too ambitious. I just wanted to, go on, move ahead and stuff. So now they're late and I still remember the stories. I still remember the folk tales. I still remember growing up with them, but I didn't have what you have now. And I think that's beautiful. That's precious.
But it's never too late to start. You still have your parents, right?
Yeah, I still have my dad. I wonder how much he knows. Yeah,
This
but
is very cool.
what I like about him is that he's also very open to learning about the world, and he had to start where he is, and that is South Africa. But he's also very interested. Like when I tell him about, so this is what I do when I travel, I would meet certain people. For example, I met, I was in a class with this guy from Russia, and I knew that, my dad would be the first person that I tell about this person and how they're different from us and how they act and everything. So then I would tell him
Yeah.
about that, and it just excites him, so I like doing that. Um, yeah, but I'm sad to say that I don't know much about history in general, and I don't know much about the South African history. And so that's why I was very interested in talking to you. Now, prior to Ushaga, what was happening in South Africa? Do you know anything about
Prior
that?
to, unfortunately not. I have
Okay.
not had an opportunity to study going that far. Because mainly I had focused on my family as well as the spiritual side of being African.
Mhm, mhm.
All right. So with that, because even recently I was following a friend of mine who had recently found out that he has a calling. So with that, it was really interesting because his journey was quite interesting because it's different from the Christianity, because I'm Christian as well. So but with our Christianity, it's a matter of we believe that we are nothing without our ancestors and our ancestors are nothing without us. So we basically acknowledge our ancestors in a Western way. But I just wanted to see how we Africans acknowledge our ancestors and how we interact with our ancestors as well.
Mhm.
So right now, I'm actually waiting for him to come back from a Peshweni from his initiation.
Yeah,
So I would love to see the whole drum beat and the whole celebration. It would
yeah,
be really nice and eye-opening. However, what you have mentioned, talking about how you would love to learn more about the South African history. I don't know if you've heard of Credo Motwa.
no.
Sure. Okay, so he was basically one of the South African greatest leaders who was not really recognized, but for me, he was very powerful, and I learned quite a lot from his books. There's a book called Indaba My People. It's It's really, really interesting.
Yeah.
And there's another one which I'm reading now is The Empire of Ushaga by sure, I think it's
Yeah.
Mazizi Gunene. It's
Yeah.
pretty good. Also, my greatest interest was the Zulu nation.
Yeah.
I am fascinated by the Zulus. I don't know why.
I think the rest of
I,
the world is. I get it. I get it. Yeah.
yeah, so with a great start would be Credo Motors Indaba My People. That is basically an African Bible.
Okay. Okay.
It's great. It's a
Yeah.
great
Good thing
read.
this is being recorded, so I don't have to write anything down. Um, as you're talking, I'm just reminded, like, as because I had an issue with the whole bride price thing, right? Lobola. And so I I only did research when it came to that, regarding our history and stuff like that. So I did research only, along those lines. And so, I mean, I did get into like a lot of trouble. You don't tell, you don't tell South African Black males or females that, Lobola shouldn't be paid. But I was just like really against it. And I wasn't really ready to talk about it because I wasn't even sure who to talk to about this, because I was like, if somebody chooses to do it, fine, it's whatever. But if it's something that's forced upon you, then that's not cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not sure how much I'm willing to say on that regard.
Yeah. Um, I basically understand you because I think the problem is we now putting it in a Western way where is it's a bride price. That's not what it's intended for. Um, I like how Amazulu would always put it, it's ukwakha ubuhlobo. It's building relationships from both families,
Yeah.
right? So ilobolo has a significant meaning behind it. It's more of a spiritual meaning behind it as well. I stand to be corrected, but from having conversations with a lot of people and some being traditional healers as well, is the fact that ilobolo is with every cow, there's a symbol, and every cow represents something. Ilobolo for Amandebele and Zulus is rather pricey, simply because there are four cows in which they are called in Gabagama. So it's basically asking let's just say, it's asking the Shabalala family, right? That, listen, we asking and we thanking you for protecting your daughter's womb till this far. So from this point onwards, we are saying that we are now taking over, right? We're now taking over. We will protect your daughter and we will protect your daughter's offspring, that type of thing. So those are the four, and it goes on and on and on. So basically, every cow has a particular significance to it. So it's not basically the one family buying the bride. They're not buying, they're basically building a good relationship. So it's I don't know, it's sort of like a merger. Two
Yeah.
companies coming together and
Two companies came
yeah.
together. I have questions, but I don't
Mhm.
want this to turn into an argument. So let me
Yeah.
try to phrase my question so it doesn't turn that way. My thing
Mhm.
is, I get what you're saying. Then why do we need to negotiate? Why are the negotiations?
It's
You see,
I
because
think
I had a problem, um, just even picturing it, say that there's a room full of elderly women and elderly men, and I know they mean well, and then they put a tag on on my on my what's the word, on my see, now I just ran out of words, but then they like tag me that, okay, so we're willing to pay this much for you on my value. Yes. Yeah.
it's not a value. Um, I think hence I say that, with the society that we're in right now, It's not necessarily value. That money, it's not about the value. And remember that the money actually goes into paying for the wedding as well, because you'll need to buy gifts for the groom's family. It has to come from all that Lobola money so that your family as well doesn't have to spend much. So it's not necessarily about you and your price tag. You are not some item that they buy from the shop. So
They
this is
make it,
basically,
yeah, they make it sound that way, right? Because when they're negotiating, it's not like, this costs this much. It's something like a girl is worth this much because she does this and this and this and that. She's fertile. She's done this, and you know what I mean.
mhm.
Their
And that
words,
is a
their
win-win.
choice of words is what I'm just like I'm not comfortable with. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And
And
that is actually
also,
wrong.
yeah, I get it. I know you're probably against that as well. And also, like,
Mhm.
why do we need to buy people gifts when it's the both of us coming together?
It goes back to building good relationship with both families, because
Okay.
it's both ways. The
Yeah,
male side also does buy gifts for the female side.
yeah,
So it's what you do with one on the one hand, you do on the other hand as well.
yeah. Because my thing was, I mean, I see people voluntarily coming together without, say this, I'm trying to think up of an like, okay, say there's a birthday party, right? And when there's a
Okay.
birthday party, people come and attend and celebrate, and you're not
Mhm.
necessarily forced to bring a gift or to do anything. You just come and celebrate with the people. Say there's food or there's no food, you bring your own food whatsoever. It doesn't matter. So people are willing and capable of coming together. You know, why then, when people are getting married, then it's like there has to be some, monetary discussions or it's see, so then what I did then, I started asking questions. So then I was dissatisfied with the answers, because I'm like, we're
Yeah.
capable of coming together without having to put a price tag on the woman. If you want to celebrate your son and your daughter getting married, come together, it's fine. And I understand, like when you say, Uti, back in the day, there was a valuable meaning behind this whole thing, but I think we probably have lost that.
We have, because
Yes,
Lobola has now become a business transaction.
yes,
Um, like what you're saying, people would sell their children. Like,
yes.
no, I took my daughter to university. My daughter has a doctorate. My daughter has
Right.
well
Yeah.
traveled and all of those things. But those were your responsibilities.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
what people don't understand is that the son as well, their son is also educated. Their son is probably well traveled. Their son is also probably much better than their daughter, but
Right.
no one is saying anything about that, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I've had this conversation with my father as well. I loved his response where he says, if someone were to offer to pay Lobola for my daughter, it has to be a reasonable price, a price in which my daughter can also match, right? And
Ooh,
exactly.
I love that.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, we're not here to destroy or to milk the guy dry. We're not about that. We're here to sit down as families, right? That in the event that either one of the parties is having problems in their marriage, they are able to come to us. Because in essence, one gentleman once said to me that when you married, was it I'm not sure whether it was a gentleman that I was talking to or my mother and a friend of mine, who said to me, in marriage, if you, the wife, right, if your husband is ill treating you, you don't go back to your family and tell them what is wrong. You go to their family, his family, and vice versa. Because if we were to go back to our families, then they're going to hate our husbands or our wives. right? So if you went to the family first and his family is not helping you in any way, then those people come back again. As much as they were able to sit and negotiate the lobola, we have to come back again and sit and try to resolve this issue together as a family, irrespective of now if I am a Shabangu or a Shabalala. Oh, by the way, I'm a Shabangu and a Shabalala. But anyway, just putting it out there.
Yes.
So basically, we just need to sit down because at this point we are one unit.
Yeah.
So that's the whole thing of the Lobola negotiation, the paying of the Lobola, the gifting of each other, and yeah, all of those celebrations.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for explaining it to me. I'm still very much icky about it. And I don't know, man. I don't know. Like as Black South Africans, are we even financially stable enough to be having these transactions? You know what I mean?
That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's the
I
thing.
mean, I mean, people pay like what, 50,000 rands for a
That's
single, well, now it's what, 3 days for a 3-day event.
But that is also an individual or a couple's choice
Is it
as
though?
well.
Is it?
Yeah,
I don't
it
think
is.
so.
Because the thing is, like take for instance with my cousin,
Okay.
it was a 1 day thing. 1 day thing, they decided to meet at a central place. They had they just celebrated and there was that.
Okay.
Recently, I just saw a wedding where it was just the what do you call it? My dad would like to call it a nuclear family. So it was just the parents from both sides and the bride and the groom. That was that.
And I really think that's how it should be.
Yeah. So it depends. You
Okay.
find people that want to make a spectacle, like just have this big hoo-ha. And you'd find people who are just like, we can even go to home affairs, sign, and that's it.
Yeah. I say that the reason why I was asking, if it is up to the couples, because I know like a lot of families that have expectations even prior to their child meeting a partner. It's like when you finally do, this is what is going to happen, this is how it's going to go down, you know so
Mhm.
ugh, anyways. Speaking
Yeah,
of
because
which, don't you
mhm.
think this money could be used for something more beneficial long term
Yes.
wise?
It goes back to why my dad said if I were to be Lobola, it would be a price in which I would also have to match. So the ideology behind it was if say maybe he requests 25,000 rands, and then I will also have to lobola the guy for 25,000 rands. That money is built or it will be used for us to build our home.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it goes back as well as the gifting, right? The gifting is for the couple to be able to build their home as well, so
yeah.
that you long for nothing. I would basically use Amandebele.
Mhm.
Ndebele people are very extravagant. Phew. They're frugal.
Tell me about it.
Very frugal, but quite extravagant. Um, but now the thing is, with their gifts being extravagant, they're not just extravagant, but they help you to build your home. So with some families, you would actually they would buy you a house. Some of them, they would actually fully furnish your house as well. So the only thing that you would come with is perhaps your groceries and all those little other things that are missing. But you basically are set for the first year of your life or more, right? So that is the Ndebele culture as well. That's how we are. With Amazulu, you also come with the kist. From my understanding of the kist, it's the symbol behind it is um, okay. I don't like this one. It really, I'm
Tell me.
uncomfortable with it. Accused, because accused, I would see a lot of brides crying on their day, and it actually feels like a casket. One bride, it was like, it's a casket, because everywhere I go, I'm leaving my house, I'm leaving my home, I'm leaving my parents for another family to bury me if anything happens to me. So right now it feels like her funeral. But in that kiss, it's like maybe your kitchen way, but they basically saying to you, farewell. But here are good things for you to start your home with. So some of the things we may not understand um, because not necessarily evolution. Why am I saying evolution? Why am I thinking evolution? It's a wrong word. But because of how we have evolved as people and
Yeah.
how we have evolved as Black people
Yeah.
in essence.
I was about to say that actually no, you go first. I'll tell you what I was thinking.
No, actually, it was a full stop. You go ahead.
I was about to say that everything that you've described to me sounded very beautiful when we were all in the village. But now,
Mhm.
I mean, by the time some couples get married, the woman already has her own apartment. Then what now? And it's fully furnished. Um, People are far, far away from, their parents, their families. And then now we have to travel, in order to maintain the culture. And also the very culture that we had did not start on its own. It was started by people. And shouldn't
Mhm.
we, are we supposed to mold ourselves to fit the culture? Or are we supposed to mold the culture to fit us? How does that work? That was my question. How does it work? Because if we mold ourselves to fit the cultures, particularly as South Africans, then are we going to build huts everywhere we go because there's certain elements of our culture that require hut, you know?
Mhm.
Or are we going to allow the culture to evolve as we evolve without, losing the values? Because I think ultimately all these practices are to, just to for us to uphold certain values that we have, like people coming together. Then can we not say, okay, you know what? I cannot be walking down Ebutle Park with, 5 cows. Then how do we kind of mold that, to have that without, losing the values that we stand for. So that's my thing. That's my other problem, that we keep trying to go back to practice certain things that we've done in the past. Can we not bring those things and like merge them into who we are today? You see, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And another
we
thing,
can.
because you're also a spiritual person, another thing that I discovered, and when I discovered it, I was just like, whoa, this is too mind blowing for me. I cannot deal with this right now. So when
Mhm.
I was, when I was trying to research this whole Lobola thing, I realized that actually God works within our culture. Does that make sense? And I
It
was
does.
I was just like, whoa, wait, what? And then I stopped. I was like, I cannot deal with this right now. I was not prepared, to grapple with that. So, but then
Mhm.
it's the case because now we have cell phones, we have Bible apps on our phones, and it's just like God can still work within, every single culture and every single generation. So that's what I struggled. It's not that I struggle with. It was reality in my face, and I didn't want to face it.
You
So
see,
yeah,
the problem is what we think that with traditional things, God is not there, but
yeah,
they are actually led by God.
yeah,
Nothing under the sun can exist or can exist for this long, or the practices can be cherished for this long without God.
yeah.
There was a debate on TV the other day that what's the difference between God and Mbalenhle. It's the same thing. It's the same person.
Wait,
It's
who's
just that
Mbalenhle? Sorry, I need to know.
Mbalenhle is God in Zulu.
Oh, wait,
It's
what
just
does
a
it mean?
different word.
What's the literal meaning? Veli, what does that mean?
It's God. Like it's just the Zulu way of saying God. So it's kind of
Umvel,
like
yeah. No,
it's like with most
Umvelingangi, isn't it two separate words put together?
no, uNkulunkulu, Mvelinqangi. It's just
Oh, because I'm thinking
same.
like in Mpumalanga. Mpumalanga is ilanga lipuma, I
Yeah.
thought maybe there was like a literal meaning in the two words. Okay. Mm-hmm. How did the debate
This is
go?
it. It's good. For me, I just felt that they were both right, but everyone was just defending their religion. So this is what we do as humans as well. We don't understand the fact that there's like 500 gods out there, if not more or less. I'm not sure the exact number. But the problem is we need to allow everybody to worship when and how they want to. Just because I'm Christian, it doesn't mean that I need to look down on traditional healers. Doesn't mean that I need to look down on Hindu people or Buddhists, all of those things. We
Yeah.
all believe in the same God in essence, but we do it in different ways.
I was about to say that. I was about to say that I don't necessarily agree with the notion of these different gods, but I do agree with the notion of this one God integrated and worshipped in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because okay, like when you go to like say maybe the Indians, they've got a god for everything, right? So that's why I'm like there are about 500 gods out there,
But
plus minus.
don't they have the
Okay,
ultimate God? Is it, I mean, somebody has to
yes.
be ultimate, right? Like the creator, the
Mhm.
beginner of everything. Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. So it all boils back to him, the creator.
Yeah. But what I love is that if you keep searching, because I'm in a place right now where I know who I believe in and I'm very, very comfortable and at peace, and I've seen the good that my belief in Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior has had in my life. But then I've also
Mhm.
seen how that can be distorted and then it just kind of destroys people's lives, basically, in a nutshell. But I think it's very important for you as a person to come to a place where you know where you stand with God or
Mhm.
the Creator, or, I don't know what people believe in. Because if you don't, then I think people struggle. I think there's a desire in us to feel like we're part of something. Like, we did not just, I know evolution says we appeared out of nowhere and, nothing was made into something, however the science goes. But there's that innate desire in us to feel like we're part of something, to feel like we belong somewhere, to feel like we're from somewhere, you know. Yeah, at least that's what I think. I also stand to be corrected. It's whatever. But I know that when I go to sleep, I'm at peace. And when I wake up, I'm at peace. And I know that from what I know, biblical wise, that for me, I haven't really found anything that gives me permission to destroy another person, you know?
Yes.
To say, God killed this person, because I haven't found anything like that. Yes, it happened.
Mhm.
Yes, it's been recorded, but I don't think there's anything in the Bible that gives me personally permission to do that. If
Mhm.
anything, I feel like it's just to love people, to love myself, to love God, and to be good to people, to give, to contribute, while I still have time. And one of the saddest verses that I think I've read is that once you pass on, people continue about in the streets. And it's just like, really? Really? Like, yo, I'm not even gonna notice that I'm gone? Really? And
Yeah.
and then, then I don't know. You live the rest of your life impressing people that are gonna forget you like that once you're gone. It's sad.
Mhm.
It's a very sad reality.
It very is. Um, but it's okay. So it's not everybody that's going to forget you.
Of course not.
Um, I when you said that, I just okay. I'm emotional, but I can't show my emotions. I'm gangster.
Yes, go
So,
girl. Uh-huh.
um, there's not a day that goes by without me thinking about my grandmother. She passed away 2017. Till this day, there's a little blanket that she always used to wrap around her waist. Till this day, every night before I go to sleep, I have to have that blanket with me. I sleep with it actually. Every morning or whenever something were to happen, I'm like, oh my goodness, Granny, she's with me. Sometimes I even find myself all teary-eyed because I would miss her.
Mm.
When I have a bad day, I'm like, oh my goodness, what am I supposed to do right now?